Hi, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Happy New Year to you. I cannot believe that it is 2022. I'm so happy you are here, that you've stayed here, that you're gonna continue on this journey with me. So I am super excited to dive into the topic today, which is answering the question, can you lose weight with intuitive eating? And before we dive into things, I wanna let you know that there is a free resource for you below, which is how to create peace with food when you are afraid of weight gain. This is something that comes up all the time with the people that I work with and in the work that I do. And so I know that you're gonna benefit from that. I've also linked my TikTok and Instagram for us to connect on those platforms. And then of course, if you like this content and you like me, you can subscribe on the button below to this channel. And here we go, let's dive in. You definitely wanna take a listen to this. This is a question that comes up literally all the time because most people are feeling unsatisfied with their body shape and size. And a question that I get is, can I lose weight by practicing intuitive eating? So before I dive in and answer the question, can you lose weight with intuitive eating? I want to talk a bit more about intuitive eating in the case that you aren't familiar with what it is. Maybe you've heard people use that terminology, but you're not quite sure. So intuitive eating was something that was created by two registered dietitians as a way to help people create more peace with food and honestly more peace in their life. And they were starting to see the ways in which diets and restrictive eating impacted people's food experience. And so they wanted to introduce and create a different kind of philosophy, a different kind of way of being with food so that people could feel more easeful around it, experience less shame around it, experience less binge eating, and to eventually heal and recover. And the best way that I describe what intuitive eating is it's a way to increase your internal awareness as a way to guide your food choices versus having an external awareness of things and having that guide food choices. So what the heck does that exactly mean? What it means more specifically is that oftentimes because we exist in a dieting culture, we're being told that we need to follow external guidelines in order to meet our food needs. How many calories we should be eating, what portion sizes, how much of different macronutrient groups we're supposed to be eating, what we should and shouldn't be eating, how much carbs we should be eating. The list could really go on, and I'm sure that you have experienced a lot of those external forces of people and diets and programs telling you what you need to eat. Intuitive eating really seeks to reverse that process, which is to say that it is trying to help you I like to think about it as turning up a volume knob. So things have been quite quiet internally and we're working towards increasing that volume so that we no longer need to depend on external sources like diets and like other experts to tell us what we should and shouldn't be eating. And therefore we can use things like hunger and fullness and pleasure and joy to be able to guide our food decisions. Now, I will say for a lot of people, and if you're listening to this and this is the first time that you're hearing about intuitive eating, or even if you're on the fence and kind of skeptical about it, that is totally welcome because that's a common experience. If we have been following diets or been restricting our food intake for most of our life, if we don't think we can be trusted around food, if we have experiences with binge eating or feeling out of control around food, if someone comes up to you and tells you, like I'm telling you now, to completely trust yourself with your relationship with food, oftentimes you're gonna be like, yeah, right, that's for other people, but not for me. And I want to say that there's a lot of nuance to intuitive eating. It isn't eat whatever you want, whenever you want, although permission is an essential foundation to intuitive eating, but rather it is eat with an intentional awareness of the food that you're eating while strengthening the parts of you that have been quiet for some time because of the participation in diets and restriction. So I know it sounds a little abstract, but there is a lot of nuance and a lot of positive things that can come from intuitive eating, which is honestly, in the end, having a much more peaceful, tranquil relationship with food and not being persuaded or swayed in the direction of any kind of new diet or fad, because let's be real, they're always coming out with new ones. And that leaves us really confused and often unhappy and feeling out of control around foods, especially sweets and carbohydrates. And so there's a lot of value in practicing intuitive eating, of cultivating a greater sense of intuition inside of you and having that be able to guide your eating choices. So now comes the big question, can intuitive eating help you or help someone with weight loss? And I think there's a couple things that I want to say that's really an important part of this conversation. Intuitive eating is not a weight loss program or a weight loss paradigm. In fact, it emphasizes taking the focus completely off your body size, or what they say, putting weight loss on the back burner so that you can focus on other things that will allow you to create a greater sense of peace with food. So if someone is promoting that you can lose weight by intuitively eating, they're really going against the ethos and the principles of intuitive eating, which is that it's not saying that it is anti-people who want to lose weight or that people don't have the desire, because they most certainly do, but rather we are seeking to take the focus off of your body size as a parameter for success, for health or well-being, and to focus on all the other things that actually help you to cultivate a greater sense of peace with food. So, can intuitive eating help you to lose weight? The short answer is we don't know. So for some people that choose to embark on an intuitive eating journey, introduce the principles into their life, start to connect to hunger and fullness, start to find joy and pleasure in food, start to reject dieting in all its forms and get to know diet culture and all the ways that it can show up, people's bodies will respond differently. Some people might lose weight, some people might gain weight, and some people's bodies over time might end up about the same. That so much of where our bodies land once we've created a greater sense of peace with food is largely determined by where our body feels most safe and most comfortable. And the reality is as well that most of what happens to our body, specifically as it relates to our body size, we don't have control over. And that's also a part of healing our relationship with food and our body, which is to say that we all have a range in which our body feels most comfortable and safe within. And as you embark on an intuitive eating journey, we don't know where you're going to land. So that can feel really unsettling for most people, because we are used to being told, do this program in this way, this is what's going to happen to you. Not to mention, you may have been trying to pursue weight loss for a really long time. And so for someone to say, well, we don't really know what's going to happen to your body in the end of this and where you're going to lie on a spectrum, can be really unsettling. And I would offer that what you are exchanging as a result can often be pretty transformative in your life. A lot of people, and you may relate to this, are walking around in their life having food take up a ton of headspace. You might be preoccupied with what you're eating, fearful of what you're eating, and in exchange for possibly your body changing by adapting a more intuitive relationship with food, this means that you are going to free up space and have capacity to be able to do the things that you want to do most in life. I also think it's important that we think about and talk about how harmful it is in our culture that we are constantly focusing on weight loss as an outcome for a lot of the things that we do that can give us both a psychological or mental health benefit and also a physical benefit. A lot of people that are restricting their food intake, whether that be specific foods or food groups or over-exercising, experience quite a bit of harm and impact to their body. Not to mention, we know that there are significant health impacts on changing behaviors regardless of whether or not somebody loses weight. And so, long story short, from a high level, the answer is we don't know what's going to happen to your body when you embark in intuitive eating or as you seek to become an intuitive eater. You may lose weight, you may gain weight, your body might stay the same, but that is not the point of intuitive eating. The point is so that you can experience the weight lifted off of you of having to carry around all kinds of rules around food and around the way you should and shouldn't be eating and all the diets you've participated in, and to reject all of that and to essentially start from the beginning. Because remember that as children, we are born as intuitive eaters. In fact, if you watch kids that haven't been disrupted by the system yet, you will see their hunger and fullness ebb and flow, that they won't feel out of control around a lot of foods unless they're being restricted in the household. But nonetheless, it's about going back back to when food wasn't scary for you, back to when food didn't feel overwhelming, back to when you felt ease around food, and that's the point. It's not weight loss, and that's not what we're focusing on, despite what this culture tells us about what intuitive eating is. You know, the more popular intuitive eating becomes, the more diets and diet culture adapts the language and takes it for its own. And so it can get really confusing. Number one, if you see anyone advertising, as I said, weight loss and intuitive eating, run away, run far away. They don't exist together. It's not part of the foundations of intuitive eating. Number two, that is not the point of intuitive eating. It is to, as I said and mentioned, to create a new and different kind of relationship with food so that you can live a more meaningful present life. Number three, and the last thing I'll say, is that the uncertainty of this can be really scary. And I want you to know that you're not alone in that, and to encourage you anyway to start taking steps to create a more intuitive relationship with food. And this has a lot of layers, and so I want to tell you to take it slow. A great place to start is to buy the 4th edition of the book. But even so, listening to podcasts, reading blogs, I've got a blog you can check out. These are all beautiful places to start in order to create more peace and freedom around food, and to also start from anew, like I said, you know, reconnecting to where things got messed up and building from the ground up. So in conclusion, can intuitive eating help you lose weight? The answer is we don't know, and that's not the point. I hope that you benefited from this video. Please comment below, like this, share this, and let me know if you have any questions. I am here to serve you. I will always elaborate on things and expand on things, and I'm so excited for what this new year has to bring for both of us.